Hi everyone, today I will give you a brief introduction of AccuFab D1s, which is an upgrade version of AccuFab D1. So in today's presentation, I will include 5 parts in total. Firstly is about the theory of the AccuFab D1s, which includes the technology of the printer. And the second part is the safety of the machine that we need to pay attention. And after that, I will give you a brief introduction of our machine and then tell you how to do the operation by using our machine. And after that, I will briefly let you know about the maintenance of the D1s, that's the procedures the customers are able to perform. And the last part, we just inform you on how to get help from us. So the AccuFab for the AccuFab D1s, it's basically same with the AccuFab D1. So the principle of this is just the same. So it's still the digital light processing technique, which short form as DLP. This DLP is just a type of polymerization technology. For more details, the ultraviolet light from the projector, from the projector will react with the chemicals which cause the photoinitiators inside the material. So when the UV light subject to the material, the photoinitiators will break down and release the free radicals. And after that, the free radicals will cause various monomers to form the crosslink, to form the polymers. So this process has been killed as polymerization. To be more specific in this machine, so we know 3D printing is just an additive technology, so which means the printing part is being built up layer upon layer. So for our printer, the build platform will just come down into the resin tank with one layer of thickness, and the UV light produced by the projector will be subjected to this layer and give some time for a layer of material to be killed, and then the build platform will just move up and repeat the same procedure until the printing part has been finished. And to be more specific for our machine, so firstly, the platform will move down from the top position, and the right side of x-axis, which is a horizontal plane, like this part, will just move up and then move back to the start position. And after that, the platform will stop at the position with the one layer of thickness. So after that, the platform will stop at the position with one layer of thickness between the bottom and the platform, and the UV light will be subject to this layer and kill one layer. So after that, the platform will stop at the position where there is one layer of thickness between the bottom and the platform, and the UV light will be subject to this layer, and then this will be killed. And after that, the printing layer need to be separated from the resin tank, so it will so firstly the platform will moves down from the top position, and the right side of x-axis, which is the horizontal plane, will descend and move back to the start position. And after this, the curing process will be started. The platform will stop at the position with one layer of thickness between the bottom and the platform, and the UV light will then be subject to this layer. And after the layer has been killed, the right side of the resin tank will go down again and then moves up, and then it will just repeat the same procedure. The reason for the x-axis to move down a little bit is to reduce the force when peeling the printing part from the resin tank. So after one layer has been killed, it will just go up and come down to kill another layer again, and it will just repeat the same procedure until the printing part finish. And after the printing fully finish, the platform will just move to the top position and wait to be removed for the post-processing. And now I will just inform you some parameters that has been upgraded or changed for the D1s. So basically, the parameters for the D1s remains the same with D1, but for the built envelope, the z-axis has been changed to 160 millimeter. This is because for the dental application, we don't normally print such big printing part, so this is reason for us to change this to 160 millimeter. And we also add one layer thickness for the D1s, which is 75 micrometer. This will give the customers more selections when they want to print their model. And the accuracy of the D1s has been increased from the 0.05 millimeter to 0.035. Therefore, the accuracy of the printing part will be increased. And on the other hand, the printing speed for the D1s has been increased significantly, but this is varies for the different material. I will just specifically explain some of this. For the SG01, the printing speed has been increased about 149%, and for the OD01, it has been increased for about 113%. So basically, the average printing speed will be less than 20 millimeter per hour. So if you want to know more, you can just refer to this table. And the environment requirement for the D1s it still remains the same. So we recommend you to print the printing part so we require you to do the printing in the temperature between the 20 and 30 degree, and control the humidity in between 10% to 70%. And for the placement of the printer, it is recommended for you to place it away from dust and ultraviolet light, and also need to put in a ventilated place, because some of our material has some unpleasant odor. So it is important to give this a ventilated environment. And for the UV light, because our material can be killed by the UV light, so it's important to place the unkilled materials away from the window or the lamp. And now I will just notify some glossary. For the customers use our product or material, they need to read and understand the material safety data sheets in order to protect themselves and as well as the equipment. And they need to be noted that the process of using the machine and handle the material is could make hypersensitive. And the alcohol we use for cleaning is an intoxicating agent, so need to be careful. And the ultraviolet light produced by the projector could damage the eyesight, so the applicant need to so the people need to be careful of this. And to be more specific, there has 3 parts we need to be careful. So firstly is the material contact. So contact directly with the material can cause the tissue inflammation, itching, redness, or some dry patchy scaling or discharge. And the resin, the acrylic resins, are potential sensitizers. So people need to be careful when using this. They cannot directly make the material contact to their skin. And after that, generally the material does not cause immediate irritation, but the skin exposure can easily go unnoticed. So we need to keep this in mind. And if we accidentally make the material contact our skin, we must immediately run the area under the cold water and wash with soap. We cannot just wash this with a hot water because it will make the core of your skin open, which will absorb the material. And we can either not use the alcohol to wash the affected area because it will have some chemical reaction. And the second part is be careful of the ultraviolet light, because the prolonged exposure to UV light can cause the permanent eye damage or the cataracts. When the cataracts form, the vision will become obstructed and blurry. And if this kind of situation happens, only surgery can restore this kind of vision. And the third part is be careful of the alcohol, because we all know, the alcohol is a highly flammable liquid. So we need to keep away from the fire sources. As well as we need also avoid splash of the mixture of alcohol and unkilled material. This is because the unkilled material can have some chemical reaction with the alcohol, and we cannot use that for the further printing. In order to minimize this risk, we need to wear the disposable nitrile gloves not the latex. And if the gloves has been contacted with the material, we cannot reuse this. And when we have contact with the gloves, we have contact the material with the gloves, we cannot like touch our eyes or face to avoid the material contact your skin. And every time before we use the machine, we need to clean this and check things. And we also need to like avoid contact with the empty resin tank because it might influence our optical path. Once we have contact with the uncured material, we must run immediately under the cold water to wash it away. And we must wash hands before mere smoking or use the toilet. When we do the post-processing, we need to wear the eye contact with the eye protection in order to prevent some sharp parts getting into our eyes or either the uncured material getting into the eyes. And we must avoid looking directly to the UV light. If the material accidentally contact your eyes, you must flash the eyes by using the eye wash for 15 minutes and seek for the medical help immediately. After that, I will introduce the outlook of the D1s. So it's basically same thing with the D1, but just a few changes. We can say here is a chamber door and it's just the same, and underneath here is a touch screen and the power button as well as the USB port. Inside the chamber door, we can see the platform bracket, which is to hold the platform and the build platform. And after that is a resin tank. The design of build platform and the resin tank has been changed a little bit to make the using more convenient. So I will tell you more later. And at the back it's the same with the B-type USB port and the network port as well as the power button and power port. And we have made some upgrade for the D1s. The first part is the optical path. Because for the D1, as you know, the optical path is just opened inside the cavity. Sometimes the dust can get into the cavity through the gap of the machine, and the dust will just leave in the optical path. This will influence the quality of the printing or the final result of the printing. So for the D1s, we have add a cover, the black cover here on the optical path. Therefore, if the dust get into the cavity, it will keep away from the optical path, and it won't affect the result of the printing. And on the other hand, we have add a fan inside the cavity to help in order to control the temperature of the projector, because before there has some cases for the printer working extreme high temperature environment, and it's just easily broken due to the working temperature is too high for the projector. And for this kind of application, as we add a fan, it will minimize the risk of projector overheat, which may lead to the projector damage. And the second change is the resin tank. So firstly, it's the lifetime of the resin tank. The lifetime of the resin tank for D1s is 100,000th layer, which is 5 times than the previous way to resin tank. For this kind of resin tank, if the silicone layer has been broken at one place, it won't affect the raised area. So if a part of like resin tank has been broken, we just avoid to put our printing part on that kind of area, so the printing can be continued by using the same resin tank. And on the other hand, we have added a NFC function for the resin tank, which can record the serial number of resin tank as well as the usage of the resin tank. And for this kind of resin tank, we have put a cover. We have produced a cover for this, so like customers can just store the material just inside the resin tank for a short term, but we don't recommend to leave that there for more than 72 hours. With the AccuFab D1s, we can like produce a lot of dental application. So firstly, we can produce the restoration model, as well as some like wax up for either removable partial framework or the like crown bridge. We can also produce the gingival mask, surgical guide, special tray, and the orthodontic model in order to make the aligner. As well as we can produce the full denture with the DLP D1s. And these are the material like we are able to produce by our own. So firstly is the wax up material, which called cast material, short form as DC11. So it can be used to produce the wax up for either crown and bridge or partial denture. The color of this is green and transparent. And we also have 3 different model material. The first one is the ortho model. So this just used for the vacuum modeling for aligner for the orthodontic purpose. And the color for this is brown. And the other 2 like model materials are DM11 and DM12. The DM11 is produced for the non-separated model, and the color for this is beige. And the DM12 is produced for the separated model. The color for this is yellow. Because the DM12 is like softer than DM11, so this can be used for the separated model. Other than that, we can also like produce the surgical guide and the gingival mask, as well as we have a new material which used for the special tray with a white color. And for the AccuFab D1s, we can support a lot of more third-party material of Bagel, Nextdent, Kingston, or Procedure. If customers want to use the above material, they can just select this material inside the AccuWare, inside our Slice software. And we can also like support the customer. They want to testing their own third-party material. We can provide them with the support documents, as well as we can like support them for the testing. And now I will just briefly tell you the workflow of the D1s. So firstly, we need to either design or scanning the model and to get the STL file, and then we just import this into the AccuWare software to do the orientation and the placement of the model or the printing part. And the AccuWare software will produce the SLP3 file, and then we can load this into the D1s machine for printing. After the printing finish, we will subject this for the washing and curing unit as a post-processing procedure. And after that, we can just use this for the different application. And now I will just briefly tell you about our slicing software, which calls AccuWare. It's just basically same same it's just same way, or same function with 3D DLP. Just used for to do the placement and orientation of the printed part, as whereas for the slicing, and we can see here, this is software interface, and from the interface we can see there has printing setting, and we can also open file, just load the file in, and to design the layout of the printed part, and then generate the support, and after that just slice. We can also click the next step to go further step, and the setting button is on the right corner here, and on here we can see the machine types and the machine names, as well as the material we can choose, so we can support some third-party material. The customer can just easily find the material here and just use. For our old customers with D1 machine, they can also use the same software. Just use the AccuWare. It can support the D1 printer. And if you want to know more about the AccuWare software, you can just check the guide video for details. And for some customers who want to do the third-party material testing, or they want to adjust more parameters of the material, they need to open the admin mode of the software. So in order to open the admin mode, we need to get into the about interface of the software, and we can see there has a license here. We just click this, and we will get a box as shown on the right side. So the customers just need to put into all the information, and this will be sent to us, and we can help them to access the admin mode. But it must be make sure the information they have put in are correct. So here is some procedures to use our D1s machine. So the first is the unpacking and installation procedure. So firstly, we need to remove the foam from the printer as the unpacking process, and then we can just install the resin tank into the printer, as well as the build platform. After that, we can just connect the power for this, and then we need to do the manual level of platform. But for the D1s machine, we only need to do once manual level before we use. Other than that, if we want to change the platform or the resin tank, we don't need to do the manual level again. So it will be more easier for the customer's operation. And after we do the manual level, we can just add the material, and it will be ready for the printing. So if you want to know more about this, you can also check the video and the user manual for more details. And after we prepared the printer ready, and we have sliced the file, the design file, we will get a SLP3 file which produced by AccuWare. So we can just put that, import that into a flash drive, and insert the flash drive into the printer. And we need to choose print here, and we find the local print inside the print, and we can just choose the file we want to print. And after we have chosen the file we want to print, it will come up with 4 tips. we need to check like every tips, which just help you to make sure everything's okay, like won't cause like any failure of the printing due to this kind of reason. After you check like 4 tips, you can just click continue, and you will be like taken to the printing interface, and you just click the print here, and you will be ready for the printing. The printing will just start. So as I mentioned before, for the resin tank, we have like put an NFC function. So once you put the resin tank into the printer, this box called the resin tank settings will come up, like will just pop up, and it will record the resin tank serial number and like how many layers has been used already, because the lifetime for the resin tank is 100,000 layers. When the like usage exceeds to 100,000 layers, it will give you a notice. But if the resin tank is still fine, you can just keep using. And you can choose a current resin brand, which contains in the resin tank, and choose a resin type. So when the situation of the material you choose here is different from what you choose in the AccuWare software, when you print this, it will give you a notice of the current material is different from the material you slice or like you choose for this printing. So this kind of function will avoid some failure like caused by the wrong material. So after that, I will like give you a brief introduction of the updates of the printer interface. So firstly, we have add a temperature and humidity sensor at the back of the axis inside the cavity. So the current temperature and humidity will be appeared on the top here. When the temperature or the humidity is not inside the range of our required environment, it will appear in red color. So like the customers will be mentioned by this way. And on the left side here, we can see the serial number of resin tank, and the usage of resin tank will be appeared here, and as well as the current material we have chosen. And for the AccuFab D1s, we have add the Wi-Fi or the LAN function. So when the for the like Wi-Fi situation, when the Wi-Fi of the computer is same with the Wi-Fi connected to the printer, after you finish slicing by using the AccuWare machine, you can just send the slice file to the printer, and you can either just like start printing on the software if everything for the printer are ready, or you can just send the file to the printer first, and then just go to the printer to choose a file and printing. So we don't need to use a flash drive each time. For the post-processing process of the D1s, it's just the same thing with the D1. So after the printing finish, we need to take off the build platform and remove the printing part from the platform. And then we need to put the printing part into the box, which contains 95% alcohol, to clean for about 2 to 3 minutes. And after that, we need to put the part again into another alcohol box with another 2 to 3 minutes. And then we can just dry the part with either lint-free cloth or the compressed air. You can check the small box here, underneath here, for the cleaning tips for different kind of material. It's a little bit different. It needs to be noticed that to wear gloves to avoid any contact with the unkilled resin. And we need to keep the box closed for longer user time for the alcohol because it's volatile material. And after we cleaned the printed part, the parts need to be placed subject to the second cure and enhance the part physical properties, and also kill the unkilled resin on the part surface. So the customers can use any other curing unit to kill the part, but for our FabQ machine, it's same with the previous one. We can say the chamber door here, and inside the machine it's a LED light, and underneath here is an acrylic turntable, and then is a screen which displays the time for post curing and the knob to adjust the time. At the back is the power button and the power port. And also you can check for this box for the different post curing time for the different material. After the post processing finish, we can take off the support from the printed part. So we don't need to wear gloves once the post curing has finished, because there has no residual acrylic on the surface. In order to maintain in order to maintain a good lifetime for the D1s, we need to provide some maintenance caring. So firstly, we need to check the environment every time before printing for the temperature, humidity, and dust free, because we have put a sensor inside the cavity. To check the environment could be much easier. And we also need to check resin every time before we print. And before we print, the material must be well stirred before printing, because otherwise the material will separating and will cause unsuccessful printing. And after that, we need to clean the platform and remove the foreign parts from the platform every time before printing. On the other hand, we need to check the optical path every week to avoid any dirty parts appear in the optical path, and to avoid the quality of printing. And we also need to run the accuracy test every month to maintain the accuracy of the printing. So after this presentation, if you have further question, please let me know. And if you want to ask for service, you can just send the email to the dental support email. And for some technical content you want to read, you can get into our share platform by just get into this website. So that is for today's presentation. And if you want to ask some question, just please let me know. Thanks for your listening.